is 24. So how come not 12? Dependent arising or dependent origination, or sometimes dependent co-arising. 12 linkage is basically the pathway how suffering arises. 24 is adding another 12 linkage as a liberation pathway. So, basically, way of life or way of thoughts start with ignorance, generate mental impulse, it tainted mental consciousness, and your mind had imagination, Namarupa. It tainted the six sense spheres of Ayano. So contact, feeling are corrupted. We end up with craving, clinging, becoming in your thoughts, birth into your thoughts, and aging into your thoughts. And the thought dynamic and so on. When you're unaware this happening in your mind, end up with this cycle, 12 linkage, and how ego arises, atta, or I was born in that way. But when you have awareness, it ceases, this pathway would cease. So the I or atta concept is gone, become non-self. You see the truth of Nibbāna as you attain Nibbāna when you liberate yourself from this ego. So we'll go through a pathway. We start with ignorance. Vicca. So what are they? Basically, it's based on your thoughts. Thought, they deal with space and time. Thought and concepts always deal with time or kala and space, tesa. They're not pure perception because they are sanya. It's not the pure perception, sanya parisati. They become biased perception because of the thought. It's not a true experiencing, not savasang vedana. It's not mindful awareness, not sati and sampajanya. So, but it's basically it's conditioned by one's own biased perception called sanya chetana. And this results in attached to the conceptual or virtual phenomena instead of seeing the ultimate reality, ultimate truth. That's why one suffers out one's own thought, as Luang Por Tien said. The Buddha said, past is gone and future hasn't arrived. So no need to worry about it and suffer from it. So basically, this is rooted in ignorance or vicca because of not knowing the Four Noble Truths or Four Ultimate Truths about not knowing suffering, cause of suffering, end of suffering, and middle path to end suffering. And not know that you're being trapped in the thought of the past, and not knowing that you're being trapped in the thought of the future. And sometimes not knowing that you're in the stream of thought from the past into the future. And not seeing that the present is basically result from a causation or dependent arising or law of causation. It doesn't derive here by itself. It has a cause for a thing to occur. So that is ignorance leading to mental impulse, the second linkage. So this results from linkage of thought conditioning as a house builder, or craving, or tanha. As shown previously, when the Buddha, on the night of his enlightenment, he saw his own self-concept, self-image hologram. So cannot condition him anymore, because he saw his mental impulse, which is rooted, if it tainted with greed-headed illusion, with craving. And he exclaimed that through the rounds of many births I roam, without reward, without rest, seeking the house builder, which is the craving or tanha. Painful is birth again and again, so it's almost useless. If you don't see it, you go into this samsāra cycle of birth and death, and then end up wound up with more suffering each time. House builder, I have found you. You shall build no more houses. All your rafter broken, the rich pole destroyed, gone to the unconditioned or Nibbāna, this mind, has come to the end of suffering. This is from Dhammapada 11. So he saw his own self-image hologram. It's not true existing, it's just except in your thoughts, resulting from your own ignorance. That's why one suffers of one unbiased thought, embedded or tainted with greed-headed illusion. But the mind itself is luminous. The true nature of the mind is luminous, but tainted with transitory mental impurities. That means those are not the true nature of the mind. It's transitory. It come to visit. It got invited in, but never leave you, because you don't see that it's tainted with greed-headed illusion. So if you practice mindful awareness, you can get rid of that. So attain your consciousness of vijnana, mental consciousness here. Attain the mind itself. As mentioned, the sixth sense sphere, ayanos tang in mind. External sphere in the first five, and internal sphere is the mind. Come in contact with sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and thoughts. Thoughts is in the world. So attain the mind. This is tainted by your mental impulse, tainted your mental consciousness, or vijnana, or repository consciousness, or vijnana klang, or alaya vijnana, or bhavankacitra. The resting mind got tainted with the mental impulse. It's being activated. It turned into corrupt your eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nasal consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, and mental consciousness. Want it the way you want. Try to please your phantom ego. And you generate your self-image hologram there through this six sense spheres. Attain the root of the mind itself, mental consciousness. So the subsequent consciousness, they are corrupted with the atta, or self-concept that generate. So you have imagination called Namarupa. This is very important, because most people would say these two words, Nama and Rupa. No, it's a singularity. It's the Nama is the mind. Rupa is a form. this form of your mind, which is imagination, just one singularity word. It's not nama and rupa, not two different composite things, but it's one condition. Your mind got conditioned into this imagination. So you tend into imagination like you may be happy vacationing somewhere at the end of the world somewhere in Maldives, whatever, and your mind roam into. So six sense spheres got corrupted because of your imagination. You perceive things incorrectly according to your bias. Six sense sphere, body and mind. You're delighted when you see this piece of cookie, smell very good, soft to your palate, good taste. So eye, nose, tongue, body, and mind got corrupted. So contact, instead of pure contact, like soft, hard, cool, or hot, tight or loose, that you perceive in order to register in your brain. But now it's conditioned by this touch, the contact, and bottom-up process. Register, if a pure perception, you register in the insula, just in the part of the temporal lobe as pure perception. But then it's now regulating. It's not, you're not perceiving with mindful awareness. It conditioned your mind and into amygdala. You have reward center, nucleus accumbens, and register as emotional memory, amygdala. So you want more, crave for more. So that's why contact as the source of karma or your action. And the Buddha said, intention or volition is karma, which is the action. So that contact results in the intention or volition subsequently. And you end up, as Buddha declared, that volition is karma, or intention is the action. It results in action. You are what you think, and so on. So feeling is corrupted from the contact. You're feeling through this, as described in the Four Foundations of Mindfulness. Sixth sense sphere with corresponding consciousness, contact, feeling, as the pathway, the thing, your perception doesn't come next to it, called sanya. If you're mindfully aware, it will stop there. Like if your insula is active, it stop there. But then, your lack of mindful awareness, you have biased perception, sanya cetana, which is the problem, the root of everything. Result in craving, tanha, disturbing thought and obsessive thought, vitakka, vichara. So this is also confirmed in the scientific pathway on the left side of the diagram. You perceive through your eyes, through your ears, or your nose, your tongue, or whatever. It registers in your brain. Like say, this is my house, my car, my laptop, my pen, and so on. Register as eye tag. So it's conveying from the image in the back part of your brain, but then it have a retrograde into the midbrain, 5 times stronger. It's been conditioned with biased perception. So everything you see is being labeled as I tag, something you want, something is yours, with the self-image hologram, a self-concept built in. As Professor Damasio said, in parallel with generating mental pattern for an object, the brain also generates a sense of self in the act of knowing. But as you see, the Buddha didn't describe as parallel, it's sequential on the right side of the diagram. Pure perception becomes biased perception when you lack of mindful awareness. You generate this self-concept, the ego, result in craving and clinging. So that's why you crave with sensual desire, liking and disliking, a second noble truth, trying to please this phantom ego, which is not truly existing. But with mindful awareness, you can stop it there at pure perception. With the fruition would stop there without going further. But with lack of mindful awareness, your mind got tainted with greed and illusion. If you see it clearly, it stopped there. That's Nirodha, Nibbāna, end of suffering. But we are a life form has body, feeling, perception, thought formation, consciousness, or mental activities. And if we perceive wisely with pure perception, perceptual processing is basically Vedana and Sanya. Vedana means feeling and perception without bias. Then it's a pure perception without any conditioning. No more Namarupa imagination. But lack of mindful awareness detained your mind further into conceptual processing, Sanya Cetana, become passive and biased, called samsāra, instead of active and neutral when you have mindful awareness. So this goes further in the cycle. The corrupted feeling end up with craving. Craving with sensual desire, liking and disliking. That's the second noble truth. You try to please this phantom ego by your intention is karma, as mentioned earlier. You're clinging to it, upadana. So a person, as mentioned, consists of 5 aggregates or 5 group of existence, form, including your body, sight, eye, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, which is a central organ at your body. Feeling, that you feel through your sense sphere, perception, see what it is, and so on. Mental impulse or thought formation, and consciousness, which is the mind. Mind is formless, but leave a trace behind as feeling, perception, thought formation, that you can track them down through your meditation. You need practice to see it, to catch it. See, there are mental activities. That's how you learn about your mind, because they exist together. Wherever they consciousness, there will be mental activities that come together. All of these are just unstable, unbearable, uncontrollable. So it was but self-image hologram that your mind generate, self-concept, which is not truly existing. As in the first noble truth, the Buddha said, to be born suffering, to age is suffering, to die suffering, physical, mental ailment are suffering, sorrow, lamentation, grief, despair are suffering. Depart from your, that's more the physical, some mental. Depart from your loved one, didn't get what you want or got what one doesn't want. These are mental suffering. But then he said, in short, the five aggregates, this five group of existence of clinging as self, as suffering. That's the first noble truth. That's why it's hidden, the message about teaching about the three universal mark of existence, impermanence, imperfection, and non-self and not self is hidden in this first noble truth. So these are the three universal mark of existence, impermanence, imperfection, and not self or selfless in nature, including your body and mind. And there's no true permanent self entity, no being, no person, no self, no you, no me. It's all conceptual or suppositional. And over 100 years of searching, neuroscientists hasn't found any place in the brain where the self is located. So next in line, you're becoming your thoughts. You're clinging. You want to thrive for the worldly phenomena, the positive side that you like, and run away, escape the negative that you dislike, like fortune or gain versus misfortune or loss, fame, promotion versus obscurity or demotion, praise and gossips, happiness and unhappiness. So we thrive in this worldly phenomena. And we live in this worldly society. We all thrive for that positive side that you like, and run away from the negative side that you dislike. They are but conceptual that we crave into, craving and clinging, becoming. Sometimes you sell your life to gain fortune or fame, like sometimes lose in gambling and so on, because of the want to get reward, hit the jackpot and so on. So you birth into your thoughts, end up with greed-headed delusion, and you sacrifice your life for self-created burden from being enslaved by your own biased thoughts, tainted with your own greed-headed delusion. And then your thought die down. You age and ripening of your thought cease when you didn't get what you want. Sorrow, lamentation settle in, and your suffering, grief, despair. So doesn't mean this physical change, it's mental change that eating you up from didn't get what you want and so on. That's why you suffer. So that's the second noble truth, cause of suffering, as shown previously. The six sense spheres, six sense organ, with corresponding consciousness, contact, feeling, perception, bias perception, that result in this cause of suffering. Craving with sensual desire for something you like and dislike, or existent or non-existent in thing that you like, dislike. You want to exist in thing that you love and non-exist in the thing that you hate. So end up with sensual desire, liking and disliking, or second noble truth. So that's why one suffers one's own biased thoughts, which is but self-image hologram. In mind's luminous, tangibly transitory mental impurities, which is not the true nature of your mind. It's strangely transit through but never leave you because you didn't see it. It home in. This 12 linkage that cause suffering from ignorance, not seeing the truth, become mental impulse, tainted your mental consciousness. You have Namarupa imagination according to your wish there. Six sense sphere got corrupted. I hear no talking about it. My contact feeling corrupted. You end up with craving, clinging, becoming your thought. Birth into your thought, your thoughts bring you to Nibbāna. When you're unaware, this cycle keep going on. That's how you suffer. But with mindful awareness, you can stop the whole process. To dismantle this 12 linking chain. So this happened. Spiral of thoughts that happen up to 6,200 times a day, proven by functional MRI scan in the year 2020. So we're going through that over 6,000 thought worms daily. Until you catch the thoughts, then this cycle will break. You can attain Nibbāna. You dismantle this self-concept. So that's the 12 linking chain. Then come the part 2, another 12 link of liberation, or Nibbāna. We'll go through that. And the latter part, from the 7 link to the 12 link on this chart, the transformative insight that will free you, liberate you from suffering. So we saw the pathway, how suffering arises. Now, the possible 12 links to liberate you from suffering. As the Buddha taught, this is in the Upanisa Sutta. This link reversed is the spiral out of the samsāra, or cycle of birth and death, or this world of thought that you go through every day. First one is confidence, or Saddhā. Sometimes translated as faith, but this is not blind faith. This is confidence in the Buddha's enlightenment. That if you practice accordingly the middle path of right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, or morality, concentration, and wisdom, it can awaken by experiencing and recognizing dukkha. You know the problem, then it can awaken you from the problem. Just like we showed previously, the Buddha is the one that make the diagnosis and give you antidote, which is the middle path that you result in the cure of Nibbāna. When you identify the cause of the problem, there's some illness that has a cause, like bacteria, virus, or whatever. Then you give the right remedies, antidote. So next in line, they have that 5 that we talk about, Dharma-Samadhi. Start with joy or Pāmojja, delight that comes from finding a genuine spiritual path. So we practice with joy and there lead to bliss or rapture, elation, piti, deep mental and physical satisfaction during practice, and then passaddhi, tranquility or calming of the body and mind, allowing spiritual happiness. Sometimes it's called bliss there. Bliss sometimes equated to that rapture in other term, or sukha here, spiritual happiness, have ease and well-being arising from tranquility. So when your mind is tranquil, happiness is suitable, conducive for happiness to arise. And when your mind is happy, conducive for concentration mental concentration or samadhi, because your mind, when it's not distracted, unification and stillness of the mind would occur automatically. So there's pathway from Pāmojja, you can end up with samadhi, and you see that in the, I think, the 10 and 11 step of anapanasati. You can see that by keep your mind joyful, it leads to mental concentration. I skip the middle three there. But the full form is this 5 Dharma-Samadhi, which is very useful. And it's in this, the 12 linking chain, the liberation pathway. Then come the part that transformative insight from the 7 on to the 12. 7 is the knowledge and vision of things as they really are. So yatha bhuta, yanatasana visuddhi, basically. It's direct insight into impermanence, imperfection, and non-self. So that the three universal marks of existence that we keep practicing to come to witness and realize its true nature of the three universal marks of existence that govern your body and mind and everything in the universe as well. So you gain this knowledge when your mind is tranquil, happy, and concentrated. You gain the mental strength so the knowledge come automatically. You see the vision of the true nature of them that follow the three universal marks of existence. So once you see it, you become disenchanted. Disillusionment, a Nibbāna, fading of fascination with worldly phenomena. No longer want to be lured or craving to greater delusion or sensual desire, liking or disliking. Number 9 is passion or fading of desire, viraka. From Nibbāna become niraka. A loosening of attachment and craving. So you don't want to carry that burden anymore. So number 10, liberation, release, vimutti. So freedom from mental defilements. So at this stage, when you see have disenchantment, this passion, it liberates. Your mind got fed up. See the burden of carrying those craving around, craving and clinging. So the mind get wiser, liberate itself, release from suffering or mental defilements or mental impurities. And the 11th one is knowledge of destruction of the pollution. It's called kayayana or asavakayayana, the same thing. Absolute certainty that liberation is complete and rebirth is ended. So that's kind of like check and balance to see what happened. You have knowledge in yourself. See, once you reach a vimutti, this will come automatically. Let you know you have get rid of those, have ended. Liberation is complete then. And the 12 is unconditioned freedom or Nibbāna, the complete cessation of suffering. So that's a liberation pathway on that. It's additional 12 linking chain. So there's some diagram that have been drawn from the first 12 linking chain we talk about. On the right side, from the suffering, start with ignorance, end up with suffering, then is followed by confidence, and the 5 Dharma-Samadhi, and then with wisdom from the 7 to 12 linking chain. We can expand that further into this. From suffering, you gain confidence from the Buddha's teaching that this is the path that you should follow. In confidence, you practice this 5 Dharma-Samadhi of joy and bliss or rapture, calming of your body and mind, and happiness, and you might get concentrate. So that's the tool that you use, this 5 Dhamma-Samadhi that we practiced earlier during the first hour. So your mind, once it come concentrate from that 7 to 12 step, you gain the wisdom on that, like Yatha Bhutayana, seeing the true nature of things as they really are, not being lured anymore. Seeing the true nature that things are impermanent, imperfect, and selfless, not self in nature, non-self in nature. Follow the 3 universal marks of existence, and nothing worth clinging to, because it becomes your burden whenever you cling to it, because you can't go against the stream. It's, everything keeps decaying. So Nibbāna, you get disenchanted, viraga, this passion, or discern, dispassionate, and vimutti, freedom. So that's from disenchantment, dispassionate, and freedom, vimutti, or liberate from suffering. So then come the 11th step, asavakayayana, knowledge of destruction of mental intoxication. So then Nirodha is the 12th step, or Nibbāna, enlightenment. So that's basically the 12 linking chain of liberation, the additional 12 linking chain. That's what happened in the learned noble disciple. They have disenchantment, nibbāna, dispassionate, viraga, and liberated. So, or release from suffering. And then there's asavakayayana. So basically, again, inside wisdom arise, realizing the liberation that you have reached Nibbāna, Nirodha. Realize that birth is ended. Holy life is fulfilled. The task is done. There's nothing else further beyond this. This job is completed as they come to the end of the holy life of these noble disciples. So that's how we come to practice. We apply the pathway. We do this 4 foundations of mindfulness. Observe your body, feeling, mind, mental phenomena with perseverance, atapi, with self-awareness, which is wisdom in action, and mindfulness, satima, sampachano satima. To get rid of desire, liking and disliking, desiring or undesiring, nature that arises in your body, feeling, mind, mental phenomena, or thing that arises in your life, desirable, undesirable thing, or apicca and dominance. So we can practice day and night, 24/7, beyond the formal practice we do. Informal practice is probably more important because in your daily life you move all the time. You can simply embed your mindfulness with bodily movement and gain self-awareness or wisdom in action in return, automatically, spontaneously. And basically, unbiasedly observe and do not anticipate. Don't anticipate, don't indulge in what you encounter, and don't intervene. Simply acknowledge with your equanimous mind and observe and practice like this through this Dharma-Samadhi, these 5 Dharma-Samadhi we keep talking about, with joy or bliss, lead to bliss, calm your body and mind, happiness, and steady mind, concentrated mind would occur. Allow you to see the true nature of things. Your mind is in samadhi, samatha, and vipassana, insight, seeing the true nature of things. Impermanence, imperfections, self and not self. So this just show you when you practice through rhythmic dynamic meditation, follow this, you come to witness the 3 universal marks of existence, true nature of things, of impermanence, imperfection, and not self and non-self, leading to insight, wisdom. See the burden of clinging to the self-concept of yourself. See all phenomena not worth clinging to. Every time you cling to it, become your own burden, your own ego that you keep lure you to keep protecting, a phantom ego. Disenchanted, dispassionate, and release or liberate from suffering. And then after that, you might have this kayayana to check and balance, to see that your job is done, and so on.